A rumor that Chris Paul may be coming to the San Antonio Spurs. Does this sound familiar, Spurs fans?
Go, Spurs, go, 'cause the Giants stink.
What is up, San Antonio Spurs fans? Welcome to TSR Sports. I caught this article today on Bleacher Report, and I was like, oh my goodness, the rumors about Chris Paul coming to the San Antonio Spurs again. So I figured, you know what, covered it a year ago after he got released by the Phoenix Suns. Let's go ahead and cover it again. While I'm going over this, drop a comment down below. Would you want Chris Paul, pushing 40 years old, to come to the San Antonio Spurs, or is this a hard pass? Let me know. Hit the thumbs up, like Sports channel, subscribe to become part of our awesome Spurs and sports community. Let's get into the article from Bleacher Report. Bum, ba-da-dum, bum. Golden State Warriors point guard Chris Paul could be a free agent this offseason, and the San Antonio Spurs have emerged as a potential suitor for the veteran, according to NBA insider Mark Stein. Potential team to watch should Paul and the Warriors part ways is San Antonio. Timeout. Should Paul and the Warriors part ways? I'll say this. In my humble opinion, I think the Golden State Warriors are going to start trying to rebuild with younger players around Steph Curry, maybe some more high-profile veterans or all-stars if they can. They may move on from Klay Thompson. I do think the Warriors are going to move on from CP3. Anyway, potential team to watch should Paul and the Warriors part ways to San Antonio. Among the early personnel rumbles in circulation, the Spurs could emerge as a Paul suitor if they decide to pursue some veteran know-how on a short-term contract basis to furnish presumptive Rookie of the Year winner Victor Wembanyama with more seasoned help in year two. The Golden State Warriors have until June 28th to decide whether they want to exercise Paul's $30 million team option for the 2024-25 season or waive him. I think they're going to do the same thing the Suns did with him last year. I think the Warriors are going to end up waiving Chris Paul. Paul's 19th season in the league came to a disappointing conclusion on Tuesday when the Warriors fell to the Sacramento Kings in the play-in tournament. He made it clear after the game that he would return for his 20th season next year. Okay. He was a valuable reserve for Golden State last season, putting up 9.2 points per game, 6.8 assists, and 3.9 rebounds, mostly coming off the bench. Joining a young Spurs team would be beneficial for both parties. Paul would bring veteran experience to a team that just has 3 players older than 25. Yeah, we're pretty darn young. Playing alongside rookie phenom, I like how they're hyping it, presumptive rookie of the year. He's going to get rookie of the year. Defensive player of the year, probably not. Doesn't look like it, but he's a finalist. Playing alongside rookie phenom Victor Wembanyama could also give Paul a burst of energy in what is sure to be one of his final seasons in the NBA. The 7'4" Wemby would thrive in an offense centered around the pick and roll, and Paul has arguably most experience of any player in the league at executing that kind of offense. That's fair. Some of Paul's best seasons of his career came when he was throwing lobs to Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan for the Los Angeles Clippers, and he could relive that experience finding Wemby around the rim in San Antonio. All right, TSR's 2 cents, and by the way, Wemby certainly would thrive for that. That being said, the San Antonio Spurs right now have about $20 million or so in cap. If the way things are set to play out with this offseason, who we may keep or not keep, I think we're going to have around $20 million in cap. And sure, Chris Paul would provide huge vet experience and leadership. But there's a lot of question marks going to this offseason. A lot of people, myself included, think that there's a good chance the Spurs draft a point guard. And if we draft a point guard, where does CP3 fit in then? Whoever we draft, we're drafting him 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, whatever it may be, you got to think the Spurs are going to want to start said point guard. Where does that leave Trey Jones? He still has a year left on his contract. How about Blake Wesley? He showed us flashes throughout the season. Do one of them just get their minutes cut? Is Blake just thrown back down into the G League? Devontae Graham's probably not coming back, so I'm excluding him. Or if they trade for a point guard, what if they were to bring DeJounte Murray back? Or trade for Trey Young or Darius Garland? There's a lot of little rumors out here swirling that we might be pursuing a point guard. Chris Paul's going to be 39 next season. 39. When I just think of Paul coming to the Spurs, I just say, why? Especially on his end. Chris Paul would have to take probably a $10 million pay cut roughly to come to the Spurs, and he may have to do that wherever he goes anyway. I can't see him being a starter at this point in his career, but never say never. What's more important to Chris Paul? And I like to look at it from the other players' perspective. It's not how does this benefit the Spurs, but what about them? Would they want to come here? What's more important to him at this point in his life? Trying to win a ring somewhere, and I don't think Golden State, clearly the way they're built right now, getting knocked out in the play-in, is not championship material, especially with a stacked Western Conference. So it's more important to win a ring and try to finally get one, or would he rather play with Wemby and get coached by Pop? You play to win the game. Hello? As Herm Edwards said, you play to win the game. I gotta assume he still would want to get a championship ring before he retires, which means he would go to a contender. And as much as I love our San Antonio Spurs, and as good as I think Wemby is, they're not contenders yet, and they won't be next season. So Spurs fans, I have the same opinion that I did have around about a year ago at this time when he was released by the Suns. For me, it's a pass. Unless the Spurs end up doing a trade where they trade one of our point guards and some draft there are so many question marks on what's going to happen in the Spurs offseason. Every time we do one of these videos, I close up with I start thinking there's so many trade rumors about our team with the Trae Young, with the DeJounte Murrays, with Donovan Mitchell, with Darius Garland, all these possibilities the Spurs might get this player or that player because we have so much draft capital. That Atlanta Hawks draft capital is very valuable, especially the Hawks blow everything up in the offseason. Who are we going to draft? I swear I've seen so many different players mock drafted to us. Rob Dillingham, Reed Shepard, Zachary Sachet, Donovan Clingan recently I've seen in mock drafts. I'm like, Clingan, he's this TSR Sports, I know you're watching. Yes, he's a great player, but I don't think he fits with what we're trying to do. I don't think an old school center is going to fix the team, and moving Wemby back to 4, I don't think that's the answer. I don't know what's going to happen in the offseason, but one thing I would say is I don't think Chris Paul is coming to the San Antonio Spurs. I don't see it happening. Best of luck to you, Hall of Famer for sure. Doesn't fit our timeline. We're still rebuilding. Don't want to rush the process. Trust the process, but don't rush the process. And just bringing him in might net a few more wins. The leadership, experience, etc., those intangibles are the important enough to try to bring a player like this in. And then, of course, from his point of view, is it even worth it? So that's all I got, Spurs fans. Thank you all for tuning in. As always, go Spurs, go.
To Wemby.